Hello, welcome to lesson 64, Anonymous Type in C Sharp, brought to you by Ankpro Technologies. My name is Harish. In this session, we are going to learn what is anonymous type. Okay, as the name suggests, anonymous type, it is a type that does not have any name, and C Sharp allows you to create an object with a new keyword without defining its class. Without defining its class. And right now, we'll understand it. And here I'm having a Visual Studio instance. Let me create a class. How do we create a class? It's very simple. Class, and let me make the class public. Control A, Control KD, and let me create some fields. Public int ID and public string name. Okay, fine. And let me make it in small letters. Okay, fine. Now if I want to access these fields, then what I have to do is I have to create the object of this my class. How do I create an object? My class MC is equal to new my class. Okay, then MC dot, you can observe now I'm able to access the fields very easily when I create an object of that particular class, my class. Then the name, okay, C sharp. That's how we create a class and we create an object of it to access the fields present in it. But when we jump back into presentation, what we are seeing here is the anonymous type. What it allows you, C sharp allows you to create an object with the new keyword without defining its class. Okay, now let me jump back into Visual Studio and let me tell you, like, let me remove all the class present here. Immediately when I remove, you can observe here it's linked like the type or namespace could not be found. In the sense, you are trying to create an object of the my class, but in your program my class is not found. So this is the error we are getting. But using anonymous method, instead of creating an object of a class, we can create the fields. How do I do that? It's very simple. Uh, let me show you in a slide. I've taken an example there. Okay, implicitly typed variable var is used to hold the reference of the anonymous type. For example, you can observe here. Now I'm initializing a variable called mydemo or object is equal to new keyword. Then I'm specifying the properties within that curly braces. This is how you'll define properties or fields using the anonymous type. Okay, let's jump into Visual Studio and let's start coding. Now var, the variable name or object name is my demo. Let me use new keyword to create an object of a class. Okay, let me use, you can observe here C sharp allows you to create an object with a new keyword without defining it's a class. Okay, that's the specialty of the anonymous type. And let me var my demo new, and let me create some properties like I want the ID, sorry, or let me see what I've taken in the example. I've taken name, age, and the current version. Okay, let me go with that. Name equals C sharp, name, age equals 16 years, and the current version, sorry, current version is 6.0. Okay, now what I'll do is sorry, now what I'll do, I want to print this values. So what I'll do, I'll use console.writeLine, my demo dot, you can observe here I'm getting all the properties like name, age, and current version of the fields present in this curly braces. And that's, but you can observe here I've not defined any of these fields in a class. Then I've not created an object of that class. Instead of that, using the anonymous type, I'm able to create the fields name, age, and current version without defining it earlier. And that's what the specialty of anonymous type. Now if I want to access the name, if I want to print the name, then C sharp or the you can observe here I'm getting, if I want to print the name, I'm getting the name property. Okay, now when I run it, it will print like C sharp on the console screen. Okay, let's wait for that. The build has started. You can observe here. Okay, it printed like C sharp on the console screen, and that's what we wanted it to do, and it did for us. And right now we'll jump back into presentation, and you can observe like anonymous type have intelligence support in Visual Studio, and that's what I wanted to show you here. Like console.writeLine, when I press my demo, when I press dot operator, Visual Studio is showing me a intelligence like what are the properties present in that anonymous type. Like you can have age, name. Right now I've taken the age. Okay, this is what the power of anonymous type. Visual Studio offers the intelligence for anonymous type, and that's the specialty of it. Okay, and right now, what are the key features of anonymous type? Compiler applies the appropriate type to each property based on the value of the expression, and internally the compiler automatically generates a new type for anonymous type. In the sense, you can observe in this in this program, we have like name, it's of type string, age 16 is of integer, and 6.0 is of float. Okay, but we are not explicitly telling to the compiler name is of string type, age is of integer, or current version is of float type. But how the compiler will be going to assign the respective field, and respective field is having the respective type, how the compiler is coming to know? It's very simple. Now what shall we do is, now let me print console.writeLine, and let me take the object mydemo, let me get the type of it. Okay, let me get the type of it, and let me convert it into string format. Now when I run this program, you can observe at the runtime, you can observe what it is doing. Okay, what it is doing, or at compile time, what it is doing, it is printing, it's telling you like anonymous type system.string, system.int32, and system.int double. In the sense, you can observe here what are the respective values we are storing here. Like name is of string type, and the age 16 is of integer type, and respectively the last one 6.0 is of double type. Okay, when it is going, when we run the program, when we build, at that time it's going to give the type of the variable, what the value it is holding. Okay, and that's what we saw here. These two sentences explain that. And nested anonymous type can have another anonymous type as a property. Okay, in the sense, you can observe here. Let me remove this. Now we are having a property. Now we are going to see like nested anonymous property. In the sense, we are having anonymous type already, my demo here. Now to that anonymous type, we are passing the anonymous type as a property. How to do that? My anonymous, I'll take that as anonymous equals. Okay, let me create one property in that, like color, and the value assigned to it, or let me take it as color itself, and the value assigned to it is blue. Okay, why it is saying color does not exist? Oh, I have to use new keyword to create. Okay, now you can observe what did I do. I'm already having anonymous type. To that anonymous type, I'm passing the anonymous type called my anonymous. Okay, now it is, that's what the meaning of this sentence, what it is telling, like an anonymous type can have another anonymous type as a property. Right now we have anonymous type called my demo. To that anonymous type, I'm passing the anonymous type as a property, and the anonymous type is my anonymous. Okay, now how to access this? It's very simple. Coming back here. Okay, I want to have a curly brace, one curly brace here. Okay, now let me have a console.writeLine. Let me print all the things present in my demo. My demo dot I'm getting, you can observe here like my anonymous. Okay, let me print each of them. Let me print name first. Okay, now control C. Okay, I want to print the name. Now I want to print the age. Okay, and the department, or the current version, sorry, current version. And now if I want to access the property called color using my demo, how do I do that? It's very simple. My demo dot the current version dot, you can observe here I'm getting sorry, not the current version. Sorry. What is the other anonymous type present in this type? The other type is my anonymous dot. Now I can observe, now I can access that color. Okay, now when I run this program, it will print all the properties and also the nested property present in that C# 16.6 and blue. Okay, and that's what we saw right now. Okay, now let me jump back into presentation. We saw what is nested anonymous type, and we saw like now we are going to see what is scope of anonymous type. An anonymous type will always be local to the method where it is defined. In the sense, you can't call that anonymous type uh, outside the class, or it will be applicable only to the method where it is defined. Mm, okay, now what shall we do is, now let us see what is the scope of anonymous type. And you can observe, usually you cannot pass an anonymous type to another method. However, you can pass it to a method that accepts a parameter of dynamic type. Okay, in the sense, you can't pass an anonymous type to other method, but you can pass that anonymous type to other method, but based on one condition. The condition is that method should accept a parameter of dynamic type. In the sense, let me come here and let me open um, let me delete all these things. Okay, and let me delete this also. Now what shall I do is, let me create one method which will take the dynamic parameter. Okay, sorry, public static void demo, and this demo is going to take the dynamic parameter, and the parameter name, let it be a. Okay, the parameter name is a, or let me make it as alpha. Let me convert a to alpha. Okay, that's that. Okay, now what is this method going to do? This method is going to print that alpha. That's it, nothing else. Now what shall I do is, let me create one anonymous type called mydemo is equal to, with the use of new keyword. Okay, now let me create id. Id is equal to 101. Sorry, name equals C#. Department is equal to programming. Okay, now let me call this this static method, this demo method in my main method. How to call it? Demo, and what is taking the parameter is taking a parameter of dynamic type, and let me pass my anonymous type to it. Okay, and let me pass that here. And now when I run this program, you can observe what it's going to do. It's going to print all the value, all the properties defined in my anonymous type, like id 101, name, C# and department programming. Okay, instead of, why it's doing so, because it's a alpha is a parameter of type dynamic. Okay, and it's going to check the type of each property at the time of at the runtime, and it's going to assign the type of the value, assign the type of the property at the runtime. For example, id is of the type integer, and name is type string, and department is of type string. And when it is going to know that, it's going to know that at the time of at the runtime. Okay, and now if I want to access only the id, what I have to do is, here I have to come and I have to specify id. Now let me run it. It's giving me only the id, and that's what the scope of the anonymous type. Okay, and you can pass the anonymous type to other method only when it has a parameter of dynamic type, and that's what we saw here. Okay, and anonymous type with the link query. Let's see what it is. Okay, let me delete all these things, and name, id and age. Okay, let me create a class, public class employee. Okay, let me create some fields in it, like public int id, public string name, public string, sorry, public int age. Okay, now what shall I do is let me create a list of employees. So in order to not waste time, already having a piece of code where I've created the list of employees. Let me copy this, Control C, and let me come here and paste it. Okay, it's all like, sorry, it's this type student. Let me make it student. Okay, and the ID is of okay, ID and the name is capital. Let me do that, sorry for that. And age, okay, it all matches now. What did I do? I just created a class, and using that class I'm creating a list of students. Okay, and now what shall we do is, now let me see how anonymous types help in a link query, helps in a link query. It's very simple. Now what shall I do? Let me write some link query where like demo students is equal to from yes in the collection is student list. Okay, there let me use the select clause, select new. Okay, for example, now if I'm having like three properties here, like three fields, ID, name and age, but one point of time if I want to access only the two properties, like if I want only the ID and name, then we can make use of anonymous type to filter only those two things. How to do that? Let me pass some meaningful name, student ID equals s dot, you can observe I'm getting ID. Okay, and similarly if I want the other one, student dot age, only if I want the age, student, or the name if I want only the name, then s dot if I use name. Okay, this works fine. Currently I've done my filtering, sorry, I've done my selection. Okay, in this selection what I'm doing, I'm just taking only the ID and name. Now what shall we do is, now let me make use of for each to print that. Okay, the collection name here is demo students. Okay, and let me make use of console.writeLine. Let me print student ID is 0 and student ID student name is 1. Right now what shall I do is, I want only that item dot. You can observe here when I wrote anonymous type to this select clause, what is giving me, it's filtering and giving me only ID and name. So when I press the dot operator, you can observe here I'm getting only the student ID. Okay, and let me pass the other one, item dot student name. And that's what the usage of this anonymous type. As I explained you earlier, what I'm doing here is I'm having a list of students with the properties ID, name and age, but due to some restriction, what I have to do is I want to print only ID and name. Then in a select statement I'm making use of anonymous type to do that work. Okay, here what I'm doing, I'm using anonymous type, I'm telling only I want only the ID and name, and later when I'm iterating that collection demo students, you can observe here when I pressed item dot, I'm getting only the two properties, that is ID and the name, but I'm not getting the age, and that's why, because of this anonymous type in the select clause. Now when I run this program, obviously it will print the ID part as well as the name. That's all. You can observe the ID as well as name it's printing, but not the age. And that's what the usage of anonymous type in a select clause, and that's what we saw right now. And jumping back into presentation, what we learned is, we learned what is anonymous type, and we learned some key features of anonymous type, and we learned how to use it, the link query also. And finally, thank you for listening. Have a great day. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel Ankpro Training, and also don't forget to give the feedback. Thank you.